everybody, and welcome to another episode of Not Quite Ringside Podcast. I'm doing this intro solo this time because me and Twink decided to split this episode into two parts, so I'm in a different location to do this recording. But I am your host, the Captain Corey Smelzer, and later on the show, when the show starts, you will have Will Twinkie Welch in this too. Now, in this episode, we're going to be discussing Raw and Smackdown. That's all that's going to be in this episode. But in this episode, it's going to be very entertaining because Twink and I both get so worked up about things, and it's really entertaining to hear us. You're going to hear us right at the beginning of the show do like a 15-minute rant about the Universal Championship. Later on the show, you're going to hear us rant about Nia. Later on the show, you're going to hear us rant about something that happened on SmackDown. But something that I put at the end of the show on this episode is that the platforms that you can listen to us on. You can listen to us on iTunes Radio. Tunein Radio, iTunes, YouTube, Spreaker, and now iHeart Radio. So don't forget to listen to us, and I hope you guys enjoy part 2 of this episode. So now we move into the bulk of the show, which we're going to start with Raw. Hold on, let me flip to my Raw section. So we have Braun Strowman that opens up the show. And Braun is very proud of himself, saying, "Yeah, I sent Roman Reigns to the hospital. I flipped this ambulance. Rah, Braun!"
Yeah, and what a horrible way to get Braun Strowman over as a heel, because you've got them trying to get him over using Roman Reigns, who should be the heel in this match.
He should be.
So you're not getting a lot of boos for Strowman.
So then you have Kurt Angle, who comes out and he makes a match for Payback. It's Strowman versus Roman. Essentially what this match is going to be, who's going to be the next number one contender for the Universal Championship.
What we're laughing at is, I wrote on my notes as I'm watching this, Roman versus Strowman means no Universal Championship title defense at Payback. Yeah, so that's kind of stupid. We're not going to get it for another 30 days at least, for another month and a half at least. So now you don't have you have the 30-day rule where a champion is supposed to defend their title. The whole point they took it away from Naomi is because she couldn't do it in 30 days. And now you have Brock Lesnar, who's not going to compete in 30 days. You have such a double standard that it actually makes me angry.
Yes, I like this part of the show because you said exactly what I was going to say, but it's like they have a freaking Brock Lesnar clause for this Universal Championship, for any championship really.
And it's only for Brock.
And what makes me even more angry, after Brock got popped in UFC for using steroids, WWE is like, "Oh, he's just a part-timer.
We don't test our part-timers." Everything they're doing is Brock Lesnar,
Brock Lesnar has WWE wrapped around his giant finger, and it's like whatever Brock does, he gets away with. I mean, when he was younger, he didn't get away with it as much, but now that he's such a big name, thanks to Paul Heyman,
and his UFC, let's not diminish his UFC. Let's not diminish his UFC championship as a world champion for the heavyweight division in UFC. That's what made him more of a name than Paul Heyman. But yeah, I agree. I'm very upset about this.
But we're not going to be seeing a Universal Champion title match until probably Extreme Rules or freaking Bad Blood.
Which makes it even stupider, even dumber, that you have a championship that is considered your main championship on that show. Not even being defended on that show's pay-per-view.
And I don't have a problem with the champion not showing up every week, because you don't have to have the champion show up every week, but at least have the champion defend his title when he's supposed to defend the title.
I don't know, on a pay-per-view, in the main event, that's when he's supposed to defend. But he's not. And it really is making me angry, and to me, like you've said the last several weeks, actually since the first podcast, Universal Championship is just being diminished here. If you're not going to defend it in the main event of every show, then it's, I don't mean every show, every pay-per-view, then it's not worth the price of admission.
No, because every pay-per-view is 30 days.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm getting at too. Is like it should be the main event of every pay-per-view.
For both titles, for the Universal title and for the WWE title.
And what makes me even more mad is we're not even seeing Paul Heyman. Like, I was excited about this, and I've said it time and time again. Paul Heyman could tell me to run through a brick wall, and I'm pretty sure he could motivate me to run through that brick wall. But we didn't even get Heyman the last 2 weeks on the show. Give me Heyman. Give me him just cutting this promo about how great Brock Lesnar is, and yet we're getting nothing from them.
I said this on the last podcast, like you said, pretty much throughout the whole creation of the show, that your Universal title, besides the exception of Kevin Owens, but even Kevin Owens, you had your title, your main title, being held by part-timers. But because you had Goldberg pretty much showing up every other week before WrestleMania, you still had your title on the show. But
even though Goldberg can't cut a promo to save his life,
no, he can't.
And at least you could get Heyman carrying the title. Put it on the show. Put it on Heyman. Let Heyman kind of flaunt it. That's Heyman's job, and yet we're getting nothing. Absolutely nothing.
We don't even get mentioned for the Universal title at all in this show, and it makes me you don't even mention your championship. And you probably won't mention it until next month, to when you build up to Extreme Rules. Which then is going to turn into a no disqualification match, Brock Lesnar versus either Roman Reigns or Braun Strowman.
Is it sad that at this point I'm pulling for Braun Strowman?
I don't care. Just someone who's a full-timer, having the title, showing up when he's supposed to show up for that title.
You realize we're getting Roman, right? Because
I know.
You know, the 20 whatever and 2 like that, we're getting Roman, and that's why I'm like bummed.
But then you're going to have Roman that's going to beat Lesnar just so you can build that more credibility Roman.
Which is stupid. Personal opinion, and I know we disagree on Samoa Joe. This is a chance to put Samoa Joe over as one of your guys. And the reason I say that is Samoa Joe has that background in I believe, jiu-jitsu. So him versus Lesnar could be a really entertaining MMA style almost match.
Well, if you go
if you let Joe win, it makes Samoa Joe. It marks him as this is the next guy. He beat Brock Lesnar.
But what you need this Universal title to hold some credibility. You would have had great credibility if Finn Balor didn't get injured, but again, it was a freak accident. But with Kevin Owens grabbing the title and pretty much having every match being interfered with, it doesn't really build the title at all. It makes it look like, oh, this is a cheater's title. Then you put it on part-timers who don't even show up for shows to, be like, hey, look, here's Raw's championship.
Just curious, did Kevin Owens even get his rematch clause?
Nope, not yet. That's another thing. The Universal title pretty much has no rematch clause. Finn Balor relinquishes the title, no rematch.
I don't want him to go against Brock Lesnar. He's already been hurt once. Let's not get him hurt again.
You have Kevin Owens that loses the title, no rematch. Then you have Goldberg who loses the title, and we know we're not going to be seeing a rematch for that.
Yeah, because Goldberg actually cut a promo the night after Raw saying he was retiring.
Pretty much.
And his son was in tears, and my buddy said it was a really good promo. I have not gone out and watched it. I need to. But he cut a promo after Raw the night after WrestleMania and said, I'm done, I'm retiring, it's time to move on.
Okay, so now that we got done with our 15-minute tangent, we go back to Kurt Angle comes out. He is dressed as that Strowman's going to face Roman at Payback. Strowman then pretty much says he wants competition, and he gives his or else clause. And Kurt pretty much called him out on it. He's like, or else what? Because, Kurt Angle, he has no fear of anybody. Mm-hmm. And so Strowman doesn't answer, drops the mic, and walks out.
Which, he told him to take the night off, which everybody and their brother knew that Strowman wasn't taking the night off.
So then Seth Rollins comes out after that whole segment.
But he also announces the one of the main events of the night, which is the 4 women's match, which we
for the number 1 later.
Yeah, which is Nia, Sasha, Alexa
Mickey,
Bliss, and
Alexa.
Nikki. Yeah.
But Seth Rollins comes out, and he's going to be on commentating for this next match, which is, we finally move in after we went on our tangent. The segment was just as long as our tangent is. And we move on to match number 1, which is Chris Jericho versus Sissy Joe. So
hold on. I have to say, Booker T makes a reference on commentary that if you're not paying attention, you kind of just glaze by it. A reference to Impact by WWE. Booker T references to TNA by saying, "I have felt his power." What that goes back to is Booker T was in the Main Event Mafia with Sting, Angle, Booker T, Kevin Nash, and a couple others. And Joe actually went against him for a minute before teaming up with him and had a couple matches with Booker T. So, made a slight reference to TNA on there. I was impressed.
Alright, so Jericho comes out and he now has a light up scarf.
Do you know why he wears the scarf? Just really quickly.
I don't know why.
It's because Vince hates scarves and considered men who wear scarves unmanly. He's wearing it to spite Vince.
So
just fun fact.
We go into the match. Joe
starts with a ground and pound. Really.
Yeah. Well, Joe does this power slam that is not. It's okay power slam. I put down Randy's are better, much better.
I don't know. I liked he snapped him a lot quicker.
Well, Jericho's also not that heavy.
Doesn't matter. He still snapped him a lot quicker.
And so they kept calling. Joe puts Jericho into this sleeper hold, which they keep calling the Kalita clutch. But how it wasn't the clutch. It was just a regular sleep hold.
No, they were saying they're setting him up later for the Coquina clutch.
Oh, okay. And then after reversing the reversal, then it turns into the Kalita clutch, and Joe wins by submission. I said the most exciting thing about this match was Jericho's scarf.
I don't know. I enjoyed it. I loved when he went for the his little slash that he does, and he missed, and Jericho turned him into the walls.
Oh, yeah.
That was pretty cool. And then I liked the promo afterwards that he cut at Seth Rollins.
Well, yeah, I put that in there, too. I said that Sissy Joe was trying to punk out Rollins. And I pretty much, how he was doing his promo, it was pretty much, it was like Joe was part of the mafia, or is he like a hitman? And
basically, he was hired by Triple H to take out Seth Rollins.
So, a hitman.
Yeah. But now that Triple H has failed in beating him, now Joe's going to take a turn, and so they're setting up for a Samoa Joe. They're building the Samoa Joe Seth Rollins, or Seth Rollins versus the Authority.
And so you have, and then to sum up, Rollins then gets the mic and pretty much just sum up to what Rollins said. He said that Payback is a B.
Yep.
Then we cut backstage. You have the club that acknowledges Elias Sampson. He shows back up.
What are they doing with him?
He's a drifter. They're not really doing anything with him.
What's the point then?
And,
sorry.
And I don't even put too much thought into Elias Sampson anymore. And so
I do later in the show.
Yeah. Then you have Strowman that ambushes the Golden Truth because this is part of Strowman's "or else" clause.
Yep.
And so the club comes out and he's saying, so the Golden Truth gets jumped and we don't have a match anymore, and who comes out is Enzo and Cass. This is where they say that Dash Wilder has a fractured jaw. The Revival is going to be out for 8 weeks.
Earlier in the podcast we said that Enzo and Cass, if they broke up, Enzo would go to 205 where he could fly around a little bit. I noticed something in this match.
Okay.
Enzo doesn't really fly at all.
He can join that one little clique.
He could, but he's not that good of a wrestler either.
No.
But he gets thrown around a lot. That's what it is.
But thanks to Phillips for, a Harlem Heat shout out. If you didn't catch that.
Who? Wait a minute. Phillips wasn't on the show, was he?
Yeah. No. Wait, yes. No. Phillips is on SmackDown. Michael Cole. Sorry. With a Harlem Heat shout out.
Because Booker T's on commentary.
Yeah. And so,
that was a crazy spine buster in the match.
Yes, it was.
Where Enzo is just like flailing around, and he got spine bustered.
And a tag happens, and it was an aggressive hot tag from Cass.
After he got faked out, because Enzo goes to jump, and he's like, Joe's to stop him, and then Zoe jumps and tags really quickly.
Yeah. And then Anderson throws Enzo on the turnbuckle, and then, which was weird because Cass got kicked out of the ring. The tag was made again back to Enzo when they're trying to Air Enzo. And
I thought it was the boom shakalaka now.
Well, whatever. You know what I mean. And so, there's this weird move where he just, like, throws Enzo into the turnbuckle, and then he, while holding onto the tights, pins Enzo, and the club wins the match.
Right. What are they doing with them?
I don't know yet.
Because you've got Enzo keeps losing. Enzo keeps losing. Not Cass. Enzo. I just want to point this out. Enzo keeps losing.
I want to say that maybe they're trying to build it to where Cass is going to get so fed up to losing that he finally turns on Enzo.
That's what I was thinking too. That's what I have. Enzo keeps losing. Split coming.
Yeah, that's what I see coming. And so then we move to Miz TV.
I like Miz's suit
with the guest star Dean Ambrose.
Sorry, I wrote it in my notes here. I like
his red suit.
Red. That was awesome.
He has a red suit. He has red shoes on.
That was awesome.
And so I said, at least the Miz comes out as himself this time, and he's not dressed up as Cena or anybody like that.
How bad did you gag?
I gagged pretty bad.
Yeah, I figured you did with the OHIO being a Michigan fan.
Yeah. And I put that in there too. And I said, oh, with Ambrose being the guest star, he said, I put, oh great, another Ambrose Miz feud for the Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah.
And we've seen it before, it's nothing new.
Miz calling him lazy though, that's not the first time we've heard that.
No, it's not.
Because Austin called him lazy. Yep. And that seemed to really fire up Ambrose for one of his better promos of late.
Dean comes out, and before he was introduced, Miz is not happy about it. Dean is happy to be home since he is from Cleveland, and he then starts pandering to the crowd, and he does a stupid Ohio chant. And the whole time after that got done, I was like, "Go Blue, go Blue!" And so, but that's a different story at a different time. We'll talk about wrestling, not college football. So, I said, according to Miz, Dean is making superstars not look like wrestlers, but wrestlers, like country boy wrestlers. Miz, then Miz's veins in his head get so out of control that there's like 6 of them.
It's pretty funny.
And then a little joke I put on, I said, Maurice thinks that Dean is Aladdin, because he called him a little street rat.
Yes. Yeah.
And then, as Miz is trying to bash Dean and the IC title, Miz is talking, Dean is taking everything out of his pockets. Maurice is noticing this. Dean puts down his title, takes off his jacket, takes everything out of his pocket.
Fold his jacket. Nicely.
And very nicely puts it on the chair and attacks Miz. Miz tries to do the skull crusher finale because Maurice hits Dean in the back with a microphone. Failed. Dean Ambrose then goes for the Dirty D's. Fails at that. Miz scurries out of the ring and runs. So okay.
Yeah, we're getting another feud.
Yep. So we cut backstage, and we have Strowman is dragging Kalisto backstage, and I like how he says, "I'm taking this one with me."
He throws him in a dumpster. Why bring Kalisto Why bring Kalisto over if you're just going to throw him in a dumpster?
I don't know. Bully syndromes. And so that happens, and then after he throws Kalisto in the dumpster, Show comes up and pushes Strowman into a roll-up door, and he pretty much says, "How about would you pick on someone your own size?" And then we find out later on that the match between Show and Braun is made.
Yep.
And so we move to match number 3, which is TJP versus Jack Gallagher. Did we see this match last week too? I'm pretty sure.
I think so.
No, we didn't. No. But
I don't know. I'm getting so confused with how much I'm watching.
TJP is at least trying to look heel. I think he is, because it looks like he's wearing like some kind of black eyeliner. But
change your entrance and quit dabbing.
A Double invites himself to ringside. After Neville comes out, Neville says that he's going to be he's making a special appearance, and that he's going to be sitting ringside to watch the match. A Double then comes out and says that, "Oh, I'm going to make it even specialer."
Yeah, and I love how he has the banana.
Yep.
He eats a banana ringside.
He invites himself, and he sits right next to Neville. I put on this match because they're too busy. The commentators are too busy are talking about Neville and Austin Aries. And it's like, call the freaking match. That's what you're paid to do, is to call the match. Call the match.
Yes. Sloppy start.
Yeah.
Very sloppy start to this match.
But I like how Gentleman Jack does adapt to TJP.
Yes.
TJP throws Winston III to the ground. Sorry, dude.
Sorry, Umbrella.
Gentleman Jack has very deceiving strength. You don't see it much, but he can throw around people like the best of them can.
That forearm, that springboard forearm of TJP, I don't know if you have it in your notes. That was really good.
No, but I then have probably after that you have Gentleman Jack does a Mary Poppins to the outside on top of TJP.
Yeah, and I just don't care for it.
No, it's like if
it was cool for the first time or two, but now it's like, okay, I've seen it. You do it every match. Yeah, and it's just kind of overblown.
It's a gimmick. I understand the gimmick, but you don't have to do it every time you're in the ring. And then TJP pushes Gentleman Jack, or not really pushes him, but does like a flip onto Austin Aries. He flips Gentleman Jack into Austin Aries, and Austin Aries gets onto the ring apron. Neville trips him, and Austin Aries landed nasty. He
did. I was impressed at the bump he took there.
TJP ultimately wins the match with a detonation kick.
Next, you get the backstage, isn't it, with the Hardys?
No, you get backstage. You have Titus. Well, it might have been the Hardys. I didn't write it down.
Oh, you have that stupid.
Yeah, I have Titus is trying to sell his brand to Apollo. Apollo's not having none of it, and so then we move into match number 4, which is
you do get I thought you got the Hardys, and is it not where the Hardys?
Well, the Hardys.
That's later.
The Hardys did a promo.
Yeah, I missed the broken gimmicks.
Yep. So we move on to match number 4, which I think is the best match of the night, which I was highly impressed with.
Second best of the week.
I was 3/4 of impressed of the match. But it's a fatal 4-way for the number 1 contenders match for the women's championship. It's Sasha Banks versus Alexa Bliss versus Nia Jax versus Mickie James.
I have Nia. Yuck.
Yeah. I said this. I was really surprised that this was not the main event, but when we get to the main event, you'll understand why it wasn't the main event. But again, you have a very high caliber ring presence from James, Bliss, and Banks. But then you bring in Nia Jax, so again you have to dumb down your wrestling for her.
I liked when she did the power slams. Those were pretty cool when she slammed each girl individually on, I forget which one.
Whatever.
But that was pretty cool about her. Ref, gotta learn to get out of the way here, man. That's the second week in a row we've had a ref get in the way.
And at the beginning of the match, though, you had Nia Jax just standing in the middle of the ring, and you had Banks and Mickie who pushed Alexa into Nia and just fell over. I'm like, oh, well, there we go. That was the first I'm going to run into you thing.
Bliss was so scared of Nia Jax.
I put feisty Alexa, I like it. Because pretty much Nia is trying to punk out Alexa. Alexa pretty much just slaps Nia, and I like that. I like this part of Alexa. But then after Nia gets out of the ring because she gets kicked out or flipped over the ring.
I noticed there was a lot of rest moves for Nia when she's in the ring, bear hug, or she get knocked out of the ring and be there for 10 minutes.
Yep, and then we actually get some good wrestling with Sasha and Mickie.
Oh, Sasha and Mickie was really good. I would love to see that one-on-one.
And then I said more good wrestling with Alexa and Mickie in the ring until Nia comes back in and starts slamming people again. Then more throwing and slamming, and some more of that, the bear hug on Sasha. Then I put nice guillotine from Sasha, because she puts Nia Jax into the guillotine. Nia just holds up Mickie, does nothing. Mickie turns it into an armbar. Good on Mickie. Yay, Mickie. You're trying to make Nia look somewhat credible, but you're really not doing anything. And of course, Nia just picks her up and throws Mickie into the corner. Alexa makes Nia miss a shoulder block and
that was sloppy.
Yep. Oh yeah, and sends her into the turnbuckle. Now we don't have Nia in the match no more, which is good.
For a minute.
And now we get back to great wrestling with Sasha, there we go, with Nia breaks up pin by throwing Sasha up. Now we get back to good wrestling, which I think was, we had Bliss and Mickey in the ring at that time, and then Nia comes back in, breaks it up, and throws Sasha out. Oh no, I'm backtracking. Sorry, backtracking. Now the matchup that we want to see in this match was Alexa versus Sasha. I said it'd be great to see these two for the championship after, you beat it from Bayley. Get it off of Bayley. But even Bayley versus Alexa would be nice to see too. Little thing that I read, it might be a little bit of a spoiler for the women's division for Raw, is that I read somewhere that this is going to be what the Raw division is going to do with the women's championship, is that Bayley is going to successfully defend her title against Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax, and then that's where you get the Sasha Bayley feud come rolling into SummerSlam. That's what I read. I don't know what's going to happen. So far, it's folded up to be that way. But I would like to see Alexa win the women's championship, just so then you can get that Alexa versus Charlotte, or Alexa versus Sasha matchup, because I think that would be good. Sasha with the bank statement broken up by Mickey. Nia hits Sasha with a Samoan drop. It's one of her 3 moves that she knows. Alexa kicks Nia out of the ring, pins Sasha. New number 1 contender is Alexa Bliss.
Alexa versus Bayley's, I have potential for a really good match.
Yes. I mean, those two could put on good shows. I'll be impressed with that, because that's happening at Payback, right?
I believe so.
Yep. And so then we have Kurt Hawkins is in the ring, and I say, "Shut up, Kurt. No one cares." But it turns into pretty much a fluff match for Finn Balor, which we move into match number 5.
Hold on.
Oh,
really quickly. I want you to notice something that was said by the announcers, that the announcers did really well again. Because I feel we bash them a lot. Corey Graves, when Hawkins says, "The road to the main event leads to me." And Graves points out that Big Show knocked out Kurt Hawkins last week, and he's in the main event this week.
Oh, yeah.
Finn Balor beats him this week. Maybe the road to the main event really is through
Hawkins. But like I said, it's a fluff match, which is match number 5, Kurt Hawkins versus Finn Balor. Finn Balor makes short work of Hawkins, does the coup McGraw, and wins the match.
I was surprised that Balor was there because of the concussion.
Mm-hmm. I was too.
I love your text message that you sent when I said that. Which was, you said that Balor must have just been dizzy after the match.
Oh, yeah. Hydrate. To all you kids out there, hydrate. Water will save your life. But I said that Finn's injuries was longer than the match.
Yes. And then you go to the backstage segment where I said, I don't usually care about Elias Sampson, but Jericho just made me care. Because he was the strange, straggling strummer. And he just made the list.
But what also cracks me up about that promo from Jericho is that he says, "America deserves the face of Jericho. Frame it in, man."
That one, and Mike? Tom. See, you don't even know your name. And that's when we get the Elias Sampson walk through, and he goes, strange, straggling strummer. You just made the list. And I said, with Jericho also doing his little thing, I said, wow, shout out to past WWE, WCW shows like Velocity, Heat, and Nitro, etc. And I was like, wow. And then in my notes, I said, Mike Tom was about to make the list, but Elias plays through the shot. Elias pretty much just makes the list. He made the list. Yep. That was great. Then we get another stupid promo by Bray.
Oh, they added music to Bray's dumb promos.
Yeah, I was stupid and I couldn't follow it, so I don't have a lot of what he said.
I said the freaking cutscenes were more scary than what Bray was trying to say.
No, those snakes, man.
Mm-hmm. I still have no idea what the House of Horrors match is. Are they fighting in like a insane asylum or something? That's what it looks like.
I'm wondering if they're fighting on the compound.
No, I don't know. But you still no idea what a House of Horrors match is. So, and I really don't care. So
now you move on to the
match number 6, which
Hardys.
is... Oh, yeah, you had the Hardys in the back, and they were discussing with Sheamus and Cesaro.
With pleasantries being exchanged. They were being very pleasant with each other right now, which is not going to be that way at Payback.
No. Then you have match number 6, which is Jeff Hardy versus Cesaro. And an interesting fact is that this is the first match in 8 years since we've seen Jeff Hardy compete in a WWE singles match. And I thought that was a pretty interesting fact.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, Jeff can take a freaking uppercut.
Take a bump, too, because he's crazy.
Well, yeah.
I think he might have even been high. I don't know.
And I said, I sure hope not. Let's not spread those rumors now. We want the Hardy to stay in WWE. And I said,
as long as I can get the broken gimmick.
And I said, I like the new Hardy shirt too. They're blue and green, and it says "Reborn by Faith." And I really like the Hardy symbols front and center, and I really like their new shirt. So if you guys like them too, go to www.shop.com or shop.wwe.com and buy the shirt. Support the Hardys.
And their drug habits.
And their drug habits. No. Let's see here. Cesaro goes for a superplex. Jeff reverses and interrupts Cesaro on the top rope, followed by a drop kick from Jeff. It was. Jeff hits a twist of fate, followed by the Swanton bomb, and pins Cesaro for a win. So the first singles match after 8 years, he wins the match. Yes! And so...
Now we move on to...
Sheamus and Cesaro and the Hardys show great sportsmanship by shaking hands in the middle of the ring after the match was over. And I said, nice match. Nice that neither Matt or Sheamus interfered.
Yep. They just let them have their time. And that's always good to see when you've got two face tag teams. That's what you got to do.
That's what you have to see. That's what you need to do. And then we move to the main event, which is Braun Strowman versus The Big Show.
Yep.
When this match first got announced, I was like, why is this match the main event? I really don't care. It's just two behemoths fighting each other. But it turned out to be actually a pretty good match from both sides, because both of these people were showing great agility in the ring, great wrestling skills in the ring. See, Naya, that is how you are a big person, but you have freaking wrestling skills. Freaking wrestling skills go a long way when you're a big guy, little guy, medium-sized guy. But if you just freaking stand there, let people run into you, you run into them, you just throw people around, no one's going to like you. Learn how to freaking wrestle! But anyways.
I mean, you talk about the wrestling there. Big Show did a baseball slide. When's the last time we saw Big Show do a baseball slide?
He did. He also does a good slam to Strowman. Strowman then does a good snap. I put in quotations, snap suplex to Show. To Show. But I put it in quotations because, it's Strowman and Show, and you can't really snap that suplex. But because he didn't hold Show up, it technically was a snap suplex.
Mm-hmm. Big Show kept trying to climb to the top. Why, Big Show? Why? You're old. I don't want to see you break anything.
I don't want... Yeah. And then,
I don't know. Wait a minute. We talk about breaking something here in a minute.
Then you have a big choke slam from Show to Strowman. Strowman kicks out. Strowman does his shoulder slam, and Show kicks out.
Which was impressive, because...
No one kicks out.
That's 400... Well, no, that's 400 pounds.
Oh, yeah. And he just carries him, picks him up with ease. I mean, obviously some help from Show, but makes it look like, I picked him up with ease and slams him. WMD hits Strowman as he jumps from the second... Strowman jumps from the second rope!
I know. Didn't these guys learn anything from Sid Vicious's injury?
And so...
Where he snaps his leg in half at the ankle. Like, it's one of the... his leg's just sitting here doing this number, and it's just nasty.
But Show hits him with the WMD, or knockout punch, that is now called because WMD is not politically correct anymore. So Strowman kicks out the WMD. And then this is where we get into a pretty exciting spot, is that there is a freaking superplex from the top rope. Strowman and...
Which was a sloppy suplex.
It was a horrible suplex, but the ring just explodes.
And what's so funny to me about this is the ref. The ref is like trying to grab onto the ropes, and he fell and took a pretty bad bump. My whole family is laughing at my sister. My sister goes, y'all, that ref ain't moving. This ain't funny. And I'm like, no, it's hilarious. And she's like, no, this isn't funny. He's not moving. He's hurt. We're like, no, we realize he's hurt because the refs immediately go check on him that come down to the ringside.
Besides checking on Strowman and Show.
Like, they check on Strowman and Show, and it's like, yeah, we're fine. Go check on the ref because he's hurt. And what happened was, when the ring explodes,
I put
he tries to grab the ropes, and they're not there, and so he just falls.
I put rest in peace, ref.
Yeah, it was funny. It's one of those things that you don't see often.
No, I said this is my take on that. You have the ring explosion might be cool for the newer generation that's out there who's probably never seen it, but to us Attitude Era fans or longer, you've seen it 2 other times. You've seen it accidentally done, and you've seen it where it was planned. You saw it back in 2011 when Show and Mark Henry did the same superplex off the top and the ring exploded. But then you have the infamous one that pretty much put that thing on the map, was when Lesnar's suplex Show and the ring it collapsed and exploded.
And my dad said, my dad and my sister and I, we were all watching it, and she's like, well, how do you stop that from happening if you're the ref? I'm like, you do what the ref did in the Lesnar match, and you drop to the mat and you lay there while the ring is collapsing.
Yep, little Nate.
That's what I was like. I think it was
Little Nate who did.
Yeah,
but it wasn't Little Nate who was calling this match. It was the Raw head ref. But after all that, it's still cool to see the ring collapse. So all in all, I gave Raw a B, just a solid B. That's what I gave them. So
I gave B+.
Okay.
I mean, just because the ring exploding is something you don't see as much anymore, and it was kind of cool.
So now we move to SmackDown, and Charlotte opens the show.
Well, hold on. Before that, I'd like to say nice nod to Rosie.
Yep.
With 3-minute warning picture, they had him, bat his life, gave him an acknowledgement.
Yeah.
Good for you, WWE.
Yep. But Charlotte opens the show. She's asking why she hasn't received a title match yet. Because, she's Charlotte and she thinks she deserves one. And I like it, and I put, you just got here, girl.
Yeah.
Naomi comes out and says she hates Charlotte begging and that she is going to,
she's going to give her one.
She's going to give Charlotte what she wants, and a fight pursues. Shane McMahon then comes out while they're scuffling and comes out and makes a #1 contender match. Pretty much, Shane said that that's not how things work here on SmackDown. You have to, even though you have a good pedigree and a good resume, you still have to earn your opportunity. And so that's where we learned that there's going to be a #1 contenders match for the Women's Championship, Naomi versus Charlotte. If Charlotte wins, she gets a title shot.
And there was a heel move by Charlotte when Shane announces this afterwards. When Shane's going back, Charlotte jumps Naomi.
Yes.
And that was kind of cool to see.
And I said, feathers are everywhere from Charlotte's jacket.
Yeah.
Then we move to match #1.
Hold on. We go to commercial break and we come back. Shut up, Ellsworth.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have to get my weekly Shut Up Ellsworth in.
Now we have a match #1, which is a 6-pack challenge for the #1 contenders match for the WWE title.
I'm going to stop you right there for just 1 second, and I'm going to go into a beef of mine.
Okay.
This is a. Why are you putting a #1 contenders match for the World Heavyweight title leading off the show? Especially when you don't have another title defended on the show. Why is that your first match? Why is that not your main event?
I think I said something about that too.
Like, I'm frustrated when you put a #1 contenders match for your most important title and you don't have another title defense on the show. Well, okay, I'm sorry. Kevin Owens does defend the U.S. title, but it's a match.
Oh, yeah.
And why? Why? Make that your last match. Yes, the crowd's probably not going to go away happy when we talk about who wins and how it got there. I'm not a fan of it. I was very, very upset, and it actually turned me off the rest of SmackDown.
It's a 6-pack challenge for the #1 contenders match for the WWE title. Sami Zayn versus Luke Harper versus Dolph Ziggler versus Jinder Mahal versus Eric Rowan versus Mojo. Like always impressed with Luke Harper. Always.
I was even impressed with the exchange between Harper and Rowan.
You didn't have a 2-corner superplex. and one of them was turned into a sunset flip by Sami Zayn. Luke Harper does 2 suicide dives in a row, and then Rowan power bombs Ziggler to the outside and takes out all 4 of the wrestlers. Sammy is about to hit the hula kick, interference from the Bollywood boys.
Yeah, you haven't even had time to build yourself up in NXT. Don't come interfering in a main event.
Or even on 205. And so here they are, they interfere, and Jinder takes advantage, hits Sammy with a half Nelson slam, and wins the match. Now you have the number 1 contender, which is Jinder Mahal, which makes completely no sense because you had Jinder Mahal just last week lose his first match on SmackDown.
And he lost on Raw.
There's no rhyme or reason to have Jinder be the number 1 contender.
And especially not pinning Sami Zayn. If you're going to do anything, have him pin Eric Rowan. I would have been okay with him. But you just 2 weeks in a row, you've had Sammy take the loss.
Yeah,
after being built like he was on Raw, and you trade him to SmackDown, and I thought, man, this is going to be great for Sammy. We can continue to build him, move him into the world title picture, something. What do we get? No, we get Bollywood boys interference, costing Sami Zayn the match, and completely tearing down Sami Zayn, what they've done. I cannot buy into Sami Zayn as a contender right now. You cannot move him into a feud, even for the U.S. title. No. I can't even buy him for that.
No, you have to.
That's what makes me mad.
Now you have to rebuild Sammy, which means he's going to have to take out the Bollywood boys, and then you have to start having him wrestle against lower caliber wrestlers, and then building back up to the main event players. And so Randy, now it's been announced that it's going to be Randy Orton versus Jinder Mahal at Backlash for the WWE title, which then goes to my saying, like, why the freak are you having this match on Payback against Randy Orton versus Bray Wyatt for the House of Horrors match if it's not even for the WWE title?
I was just say, we don't even know. There's rumors that this isn't even for the title.
Yeah.
On WWE.com, it's not even listed as a title match.
So Jinder starts throwing this promo out talking about Renee. What up, Renee and Leather? And Jinder's talking, and as he's talking, I was like, is he turning into the next Iron Sheik?
That's what it sounds like. He kind of does sound that way. Either the Iron Sheik or one of the Russian guys.
And so Randy Orton comes down. He addresses Jinder Sheik, and it's nothing really much. Pretty much brushes off.
You.
But he pretty much brushes off Jinder, which didn't. It's like, here's your new number 1 to continue, but you brush him off and you focus back on Bray Wyatt,
which was a better promo on SmackDown than it was on Raw, but neither one were that great. I don't like having the cutscenes inside your promo. It just I'm almost ADD at times when you do that, and I'm like, oh, Snake, okay, now I've missed the next 15, 20 words you said because all I can see is that Snake still.
Yep. And I said, Bray just needs to stay on Raw where he belongs. And I put down poor Jinder Sheik. He just got so legitimized on the show because of just being brushed off as the number 1 contender. Then you have the Weird Lady faction with Natty, Carmella, and Tamina. And it's a little weird. And then
shut up now, Ellsworth. I have a feeling we're going to be saying that if we refer to this stable a lot, is shut up, Ellsworth.
So, we move to match number 2, which is Charlotte versus Naomi for the number 1 contenders match.
I'm sorry, once again, I was so taken out by the match that this is literally all I have. Good match.
Yeah. And then Charlotte dominates Naomi for the majority of the match. Not a fun match. Not a fun of... Oh, okay. I can't read my own writing. I'm not a huge fan of Naomi's multiple kick thing, which goes.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of that, and seems to me Charlotte is able to showcase. This is a good point that I made. I feel like Charlotte's able to showcase more of her wrestling prowess, more of her wrestling skills on SmackDown than she could on Raw. You see moves on SmackDown from Charlotte that you did not see from her on Raw, and I enjoyed her wrestling in it.
Once again, I was so taken out by the Jinder loss, and if you put it last, I'm probably invested in this match, but everything following the Jinder match until the last one, I was just kind of like, it's a show and it's the rest of the show. And I'm just kind of angry.
Yeah. And then they do a botch on the, Naomi and Charlotte both do a botch on the wheelbarrow turn into a cutter move. Naomi then tries to hit the rear view. It's blocked. Charlotte hits natural selection. Charlotte is now the new number 1 contender for the Women's Championship. The SmackDown Women's Championship. So now we move into match number 3. American Alpha versus Shining Star, who, by the way, got a name change. They're now just the Colognes.
I like that. It's a nod to their family. Another one of the Colognes that nobody seems to want to mention, because great job on mentioning the background. Why aren't you mentioning Carlito?
They mentioned him on Talking Smack.
Well, it doesn't matter. They didn't mention him in the show when they were naming off the grandfather and the dad and everybody else. Hey, Carlito's one of those too.
Well, there's actually rumors speculating that Carlito is going to be coming back to the WWE. But it's just rumors. It's not like it's true.
But still, that's even worse then. Because if he's coming back and you didn't mention him as part of that family, that kind of makes me angry.
So, I have something else to mention about the Colognes once we finish off the whole SmackDown show. I think it's going to be pretty cool if they go this route. But Jason Jordan does an amazing hot tag. No one does it better than him. Good hot tag, suplexes everybody, slams everybody, throws down his singlet straps, and then the Shining Star wins.
What are they doing with Alpha?
I don't know. It worries me that I don't know what they're doing, because now losing to the Cologne, it's they're out of the tag team title picture.
They should have moved them over to Raw. You move them over to Raw. You put them with Kurt Angle. 3 wrestlers in a stable. Angle can easily mentor him, even as a GM.
Yes. Then we go to a Lana vignette, and I got so mad at people on the internet calling Lana a stripper. No, Lana is not a stripper. She's a cabaret dancer. She's like off-Broadway dancer. That's what her gimmick is going to be.
Oh,
yeah. It might work. I don't know. But then we move to quote-unquote match number 3, which is the U.S. Open Challenge. Kevin Owens versus Gary Gandy. Pretty much a nobody.
Owens destroys some nobody.
Yep, Kevin wins in 30 seconds. Shocker.
Sloppy pop-up powerbomb because the guy couldn't even jump, and it looked like Owens may have given him a little extra on the downswing because he didn't jump right.
Well, that's what you get from having someone from Kentucky. So, we move to the main event, which is AJ Styles versus Baron Corbin with Kevin Owens on commentating.
Like I said, I got interested in this match about the time AJ Styles got thrown into the ring post. Where he slid under and he just caught that ring post full bore.
Yep. There wasn't really that many spots in this match. You had this typical running or hitting into the special announcer, the special commentator.
But before that, you get the Pele kick.
Oh, yeah.
I love the Pele. And I also have that Corbin's speed is really good, especially for a guy his size.
Oh,
he
yeah.
can really move.
I've been really impressed with Corbin as he's progressed more and more into his career because of how much better he is getting at wrestling down in NXT.
And quickly.
Yep. Oh, yeah, especially down in NXT, I wasn't all that impressed with him. I wasn't impressed when he first came up, but with him coming up now, I like how he's coming up, and I like what he's doing. I like his wrestling.
That Deep 6 was super impressive.
Oh, yeah, it was fast, and it looked like it was
spun
hard.
Around like 4 or 5 times before he slammed him.
But typical running in and hitting the special commentator, which was Kevin Owens. Styles wins the match via countout. I said good match, nothing else to say, enjoyed it. SmackDown is doing right for the U.S. title. Oh, I'm making points here. SmackDown is doing right with the U.S. title, putting the number 1 contender match in the main event. That's why I like that part. But no, let me explain. The U.S. title has been tarnished and tarnished and tarnished and tarnished and tarnished, and now that you are giving it some more credibility coming back, and
that wasn't a number 1 contenders match. AJ was already the number 1 contender. That was just 2 guys going against each other.
Sorry, I said putting the number 1 contender in the main event. So you have the number 1 contender in the main event for the U.S. title.
But that still should not trump. Here's the way I would have laid out that card, because this is the Will Welch card layout. You opened with Charlotte in the ring, going back and forth attacking, right? You had a ref come running out to try and break them up. Go ahead and do that match first. You know, it would have moved the show much more fluently. See, now you have that match, Instead of, okay, this match is going to be now later in the night. I thought they were going to go right into it, which is what they should have done. And then you can have that backstage vignette of them being all those three with Natty,
Carmella, and,
yeah. Now that makes more sense. Tamina.
Another person.
Tamina. That makes more sense now about how they're complaining about Charlotte getting the number one after only being there for a week. That would make more sense. Then you move on to the Corbin promo. You could have cut the Corbin promo after that match, the AJ Styles promo that Corbin interrupts, then go into that match, then go into your number one contenders match, because that's the match that was advertised. The other two matches weren't even advertised. So if you're going to advertise a match, that should be your main event on a Raw or SmackDown.
Well, I get where you're coming from, but I also put down that you're giving / showing the importance for the U.S. title.
Are you? With the match you got before the U.S. title?
Well, besides that, don't even worry about that match. But I don't even think it was a title match. I think it was just for the Face of America match.
No, it was. It was a U.S. title open challenge match.
Well, anyways, all in all, I give SmackDown a final grade of a B. That's what I gave them.
I gave them a B-. I was not happy.
So,
I would have given them even lower, but the main event actually was pretty good, so...
Now, going back to the Colognes, I think if they want to try to go a direction, especially after Rosie just died, but you have a chance to do like a heritage match for the SmackDown Tag Team titles with the Usos versus the Colognes, because the Usos are part of the Anoa'i family. And so you have that family going back to what it is, another great generational wrestling family that has pretty much established WWE. And then you have the Colognes family going off in a different direction.
Established WWE in every single era.
Yes.
In the 80s, it was Haku and Fatu. Well, actually, let's go back to the 70s. High Chief Peter Maivia. Mm-hmm. Then you go to Haku and Fatu.
Yep.
Then you go to... Can you smell what the Rock...
Even before that, I didn't know this until I looked it up. Yokozuna.
That's right. Yokozuna was part of the family because he wasn't Japanese. He was the Samoan.
Yes.
So Yokozuna. Then you go into The Rock.
The Rock.
Then you go into Roman Reigns.
No. Before Rock, or with The Rock, you had Rikishi.
That's right, Rikishi. You're right. And now you've got Rikishi's sons.
The Usos.
But
even before the Usos, you had Umaga, and then you had Rosie, and you had Jamal.
You talking about Umaga?
Yeah. Whatever.
Wait, it's Umaga, but William Regal called him Umanga.
And so, you have them. Then you have the Usos and Roman. And now, Nia and whatever. And then, on top of that, you also have another person from the Noi family who's actually one of the security guards who goes in the rings and gets beat up.
Yeah, so, you've got to... And you could do that, and that...
And then you have the Colognes that goes all the way back to Carlos Colon, and then he pretty much established what wrestling is, which then carried into WWE. And then you have them come down, they meet up with Carlito, pretty much joining the two companies together with Carlito, and now you have Epico or the Colognes come in, and now you have these two heritage families, and you can have them compete for the SmackDown Tag Team titles to pretty much show dominance of the families.
I'd be okay with that.
That would be pretty good.
But you've got to do a massive rebuild job on the Colognes or the Shining Stars.
They started to do that on Talking Smack.
Well, they started doing that in SmackDown.
True, they did.
As much to our dismay.
Yeah, it's poor Alpha. But that pretty much sums up our show.
Catch us on Facebook at
Yeah, you can catch us on Facebook at Not Quite Ringside Podcast. I'm not quite sure if Twink has got the Twitter page up yet. No, but whenever when he gets done being Nia Jax, he's going to make a Twitter page that's going to be at Not Quite Ringside Podcast. You can also email us if you have any complaints, suggestions, just compliments if you have anything. You can email us at notquiteringsidepodcast@gmail.com. And with that being said, I'm going to go eat some sushi, and we're going to wrap up this show. I am the Captain Corey Smelzer.
I'm Will the Twinkie Will.
And we will catch you guys next week.